Unbelievable. Woman saves Mafia boss's 2-year-old from flames now, he declares her his forever. The night was buzzing with the pulse of the city. Neon lights flickered, and laughter spilled from alleyways as Lisa wiped the sweat from her brow, her heart racing in time with the clattering dishes at the diner. She was just a waitress, but in her mind she was so much more. A single mother working round the clock, she burst with dreams for her little girl, wondering if she would be able to afford that pretty pink dress she spotted yesterday. But her life was about to take a turn she never could have imagined. Suddenly, an excruciating shriek pierced through the din of laughter and clinking glasses. It sent Lisa's heart tumbling into her stomach. A child's cry? She darted outside, the biting cold hitting her like a slap. In moments, the sour scent of smoke filled her lungs, her body screaming at her to flee, but she couldn't move. There! A flickering glow surged from the alley, and amid the chaos, she spotted him, little Luca, Giovanni's son, trapped and terrified, his tiny voice cracking through the roaring flames. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With no time to second guess, Lisa plunged into the alley. The heat licked at her skin, but the crying sparked her instincts. She pressed on, the flames crackling around her, searing the air. Each step tightened her chest, she could hardly breathe through the smoke. But all she could think of was Luca, the innocent baby boy in a hell of fire. She reached him. In one swift movement, Lisa scooped him up, cradling him to her chest. His small, trembling body clung to her, tears streaming down his cheeks as she rushed back into the night. The cold air hit her like a wave of relief, and she collapsed on the sidewalk, both of them gasping for breath. As the fire department arrived, reporters swarmed like bees to honey. They caught whispers of her bravery, and soon Lisa was painted as a local hero. But not everyone saw her that way. The whispers in the neighborhood turned sour. Some glamorized her, while others scorned her. She's a hero, but the kid's dad? They whispered, linking her to Giovanni's shady past and Giovanni's dark world. Things were shifting too. Guilt gnawed at him. A mafia boss, yet here was this woman, this strong, selfless woman who saved his boy. Her act of bravery brought a glimmer of hope to his otherwise grim existence. He was drawn to her, like a moth to a flame, full of conflicting thoughts, but this was only the beginning. As word spread, Lisa faced the backlash. Justice? Family loyalty? Barriers formed like iron walls around her heart. With every passing day, her truth twisted deeper into the fabric of Giovanni's world, and she felt the weight of a community's judgment pressing down on her shoulders as they grew closer. A fragile connection crackled between them, a silent understanding amid the chaos of their lives. Yet shadows loomed, threatening to snuff out the light. What would happen when Giovanni's enemies came knocking? Would Lisa stand by him, or would she break under the strain of the worlds colliding? In the flickering light of that transformative night, Lisa felt both fear and a resolve she had never known. The flames had shown her that true courage isn't just about saving someone. It's about redefining who you are. She felt a spark of hope, but uncertainty twisted in her gut. What lay ahead loomed like a tempest, ready to engulf everything she cared for. Where would this path lead her, and how would she face the storm brewing on the horizon? The days slipped by in a blur of chaos and uncertainty. It felt surreal to wake up every morning to the echoes of the fire, and the headlines that had transformed her from a struggling waitress to a figure of fascination. The diner was buzzing, but whispers followed Lisa everywhere. Is she dating Giovanni? Is she in over her head? Lisa couldn't escape the scrutiny. The weight of it all pressed down hard. Each glance felt like a judgment, each conversation filtered through a lens of uncertainty. She worked harder than ever, pouring her energy into serving tables, hoping that the mundane routine would drown out the noise. But at night, as she lay awake, thoughts of Giovanni and the danger surrounding him crept into her mind like unwanted shadows. Giovanni was a constant presence too. He seemed to be woven into her thoughts, lingering like his cologne when he was near. He would show up at the diner, always with that charming smile that made her heart race, But there was something deeper behind his eyes, a mix of gratitude and something louder, something dangerous. One evening, after a long shift, Lisa found herself stepping into the chilly air with exhaustion wrapping around her. She hadn't expected Giovanni to be waiting by his sleek black car, a silhouette against the streetlights. "Lisa," he said, his voice low, holding an urgency that caught her off guard. "I need to talk to you. Can it wait?" She glanced away, her pulse quickening. The world still buzzed with whispers, and she was not ready to face them or him. He stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "No, it can't. I know it's been hard since the fire. I wanted to check on you." With a sigh, she could feel her resolve crumbling. "I'm fine, really. I just want to keep my head down and work for my daughter. And I want to keep you safe," he replied, a touch of desperation now threading through his tone. "You took a risk that night, more than anyone knows. I can't just sit back and let everyone think they can come after you because of what you did." Lisa hesitated, feeling the heaviness of his words. "You think they want? You think I'm safe because you're the boss? There are people out there who care. What I did will always link us together, Giovanni. I don't want that." He stepped back, a flash of hurt mingled with understanding flickering across his face. "Then let me help you. It's not just about you anymore. There's a target on your back now, and I refuse to let anyone harm you or Luca." The air crackled between them, their conflicting worlds colliding. A small piece of her feared him, but it was eclipsed by the undeniable connection growing stronger each time they spoke. She could feel the past and the future swirling around them, like storm clouds waiting to break. "What do you want me to do, Giovanni? Live in your world? Accept this twisted connection? I want you to realize that you are more than just a good deed. You did something brave, something that has changed my life. But I need you to trust me. There are things you don't know, things I haven't shared." Her heart raced. "What are you hiding?" Before he could respond, a distant sound shattered the moment, a car screeching, headlights piercing through the darkness. Instinctively, Lisa's stomach dropped, and Giovanni's expression hardened. His eyes narrowed as he turned to face the incoming vehicle. "What is happening?" Lisa asked, panic rising. "I need you to get in the car," Giovanni said, his voice steady but intense. "Please just trust me." Lisa's heart pounded in her ears as uncertainty gnawed at her, but anxiety surged. What was about to unfold? What if this was the moment everything changed forever? "Giovanni, wait." But he was already moving, his determined gaze fixated on the approaching threat. The night had turned from ordinary to terrifying in the blink of an eye. As the car rolled to a stop beside them, fear twisted in her gut. Who was it? What awaited her just beyond the fragile veil of safety she had barely clung to? "Get in," he commanded, a sense of urgency in his voice that made her heart race. But doubt gnawed at her. Would she walk into a trap? Or would this be her chance to confront the darkness? The decision loomed heavy. What lay ahead would unravel everything she thought she knew. Would she embrace the danger and dive into the unknown? Or would she pull away from the man who had saved her son's life, who now threatened to change hers forever? "Lisa," Giovanni called again, a mix of promise and peril flickering in his eyes. With a trembling breath, she reached for the door handle. Would she step into Giovanni's world? Or would she slam the door shut on a future she couldn't yet comprehend? Lisa felt her heart skip as she hesitated, her hand lingering on the handle. The chaos of the moment seemed to stretch time, the headlights of the car illuminating the swirling uncertainty around her. Was this the leap into a world she had only brushed against? Or was it an invitation to disaster? The panic in her gut twisted tighter, the air thick with tension. Giovanni's eyes were locked onto her, a mirror of desperation mixed with fierce protectiveness. "Please, Lisa," he said, his voice lowering even further, rife with urgency. "There's no time. They're coming for you." As if to emphasize his words, the distant sound of a door slamming echoed through the quiet night, followed by hurried footsteps approaching. She could barely breathe. Everything in her screamed to pull away, to run back to the sanctuary of her apartment where nothing could penetrate her fragile bubble of normalcy. But deep down, she knew she had already crossed the line there. Giovanni's boldness and conviction drew her in, like an irresistible current. She flung the door open and slipped into the car's interior, the leather cool against her skin, reminding her of how far removed she was from her old life. Giovanni climbed inside, shutting the door with a resolute thud. The engine roared to life, displacing the silence, and they were off. The city lights blurred past her as Giovanni navigated sharply through the streets, focused intently on the road ahead. "You need to stay close to me now," he murmured, his eyes flicking to her before back to the front. "I'll explain everything, but first we've got to get you to safety." Her mind raced. "Giovanni, what's going on? Who's coming after me? Why is this happening?" Each question tumbled out in a breathless rush, sharp with the raw fear coursing through her veins. "I'll tell you, but you have to trust me," he replied, his jaw tightening as he swerved around a corner. "What you did during the fire. It put you on the radar of people who won't hesitate to hurt you if they think you're a liability." The word liability hung between them, heavy and ominous. Lisa's thoughts returned to the faces of the customers she had served day in and day out. Had they ever known just how intertwined her fate had become with the mob? She thought of Luca, of her small home and the stable life she fought so hard to maintain. "All this. It's because of me?" "It's complicated," Giovanni said, and there was a vulnerability in his tone that caught her off guard. "But know that I'm not here to let anything happen to you. I refuse to let what happened draw you into this life, any more than it already has." A tumult of emotions welled up inside Lisa. She wanted to scream, to shake him until he understood just how deep this rabbit hole went. But in that moment maybe she didn't want to fight. Maybe she just wanted something to cling to amidst the uncertainty. They sped through the winding streets, the night air thick with the scent of rain and the promise of trouble. "Just drive," she finally said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Just get us somewhere safe." As they turned onto a narrow back road, Lisa caught a glimpse of shadows flitting along the edges, her heart hammering in response. In that moment, she realized she was standing at a crossroads, where the safety of her old life lay behind her and a dark, uncharted territory stretched out ahead. "Things are about to change, Lisa," Giovanni warned, his voice laced with urgency. "Are you ready for that?" She opened her mouth to respond, but words failed her. Instead, all she could offer was a shared glance, a moment of connection and understanding. The weight of it pressed down like a heavy mist, thick with unspoken worried promises. Just then they skidded to a halt. Giovanni gripped the steering wheel, his face hardening. "Stay low," he commanded as the shadows grew closer, menacing against the dim glow of the streetlights. What were they up against? Lisa's heart raced as the door slammed open, and a figure stepped out from the darkness, and she braced herself. Would she embrace the danger gripping her tightly? Or was it already too late to turn back? The figure emerged, silhouetted by the dim light, hood pulled low over their face. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. Giovanni's fingers tightened around the steering wheel, muscles hardening like steel under the pressure. "Who is it?" Lisa whispered, dread pooling in her stomach. "Stay quiet," he shot back, his voice a low growl. There was no room for hesitation. In his eyes she could see the lines of fear and resolve etched deep. The shadow moved closer, revealing short, purposeful strides. A flash of lights gleamed off metallic surfaces, and Lisa's heart raced as she took in the shape of a weapon. "Get out of the car, Giovanni!" A voice barked, sharp and commanding. "Not without her!" Giovanni yelled, gripping the wheel tighter, the engine almost roaring in response to his tension. The voice belonged to a man, a stocky figure with a menacing presence that seemed to absorb the surrounding darkness. "You're making a mistake," he said, tone dripping with violence submerged beneath calm. "Release the girl. She has no idea what she's gotten herself into." Lisa's mind swirled with panic. She didn't want to be a pawn in a game she didn't understand. Heart pounding, she instinctively ducked lower in her seat, keeping her eyes trained on Giovanni. "All I know is that she saved someone who mattered," Giovanni replied fiercely, his voice steady despite the panic clawing at Lisa's insides. "And I'm not letting her go just like that." The words hung in the air. Had those few moments during the fire truly marked her life forever? Was she really someone that mattered? The man laughed softly, but it was hollow. "You think this is some fairy tale? That saving the boss's kid will get you a happily ever after? You're a liability, just like I warned you." Suddenly, the flicker of a second figure caught her eye, a flash of white light peeking out from behind the first man, revealing a small face, eyes wide, clearly frightened. "Is that?" Lisa's breath hitched. "Is that the child? Get out of the car!" The first man shouted again, gun pointed toward them, insistent and terrifying. The child flinched at the harsh sound, shrinking back as tears began to spill. "Listen to me," Giovanni said, his voice dropping to an intensity that radiated courage. "You don't have to do this. We can work something out. Just let her go." "Work what out?" The man barked back. "This isn't negotiation time. This is war." The air in the car felt electric, each heartbeat magnified as Lisa's mind raced. War. How had she gotten mixed up in this? In a moment of impulse, she reached for the door handle, her breath halting as the reality of her choices washed over her. The fear still churned inside her, but an unexpected resolve began to take root. "Stop. Just wait," she shouted, surprising herself with the volume of her own voice. The tension in the air shifted, all eyes turning toward her. Giovanni looked at her, surprise flickering across his face. She had an idea, a wild and reckless one, but it was her moment to seize control of whatever fate lay before her. "Take me instead," she said, her words steady and clear. "Let the child go." The man's brow furrowed as he weighed her offer. Giovanni's eyes flared with a mix of disbelief and anger. "No, Lisa, you can't trust me," she urged, her heart pounding louder than before. "I can do this. Instead of a liability, I'll be the one they keep." Silence enveloped them as a storm of emotions raged within her. Would she risk it all for a child she barely knew? Could she bear the weight of that choice? The moment stretched on, thick with exhaled breaths and the flickering of dim stars above. And as the figure shifted, Lisa's chest tightened with anticipation. What was the next step in this dangerous dance of fate? What would it cost her to embrace this new path? The man's eyes narrowed, calculating. Lisa felt her heart hammering away, each beat echoing her uncertainty. Desperation gripped the air as tension sparked between the figures like a live wire ready to snap. "Why would you do that?" the man finally asked, disbelief etched into his voice. "You think you're some kind of hero?" "I don't want that," Lisa replied, her voice trembling yet forthright. "I just don't want that child to suffer. Let her go, she deserves a chance." Giovanni's expression twisted into a mix of panic and pride. The confidence he had shown moments ago dropped into fear as he watched her stand firm in the face of danger. "No, you can't bait him with your life," he shouted, but there was an edge of desperation creeping in, mirroring Lisa's resolve. The man's lip curled, taunting. "You think they'll let you just walk away? You have no idea what you're getting into. You really think they'll keep you? And you have no idea what I'm willing to sacrifice," Lisa replied boldly, her breath hitching in her throat. Every word felt like a weight she was willingly lifting, moving toward an unknown fate. For a moment the man paused, clearly weighing his options. The child whimpered quietly, tears running down her cheeks, and Lisa felt her heart crack at the sound. This innocent girl deserved a future untainted by fear and violence. "What's your name?" the man asked, shifting his gaze. "Lisa," she snapped, embers of fear igniting her determination. "Fine, Lisa," he said slowly, almost dismissively. "We'll see how brave you are." Without warning, he barked an order to his companion. The child was yanked forward, her frightened expression breaking Lisa's resolve just as she thought she had secured a path forward. The man waved his weapon, pointing towards the door. "Get out, Lisa, or this experience will really end badly for you." Every instant felt stretched and suspended, as if the world held its breath. Giovanni was beside himself, the pain of helplessness evident in his clenched fists. But Lisa refused to back down. Every fiber of her being screamed to protect the child, yet a voice deep within urged her to protect herself. As she pushed the door open with trembling hands, the chill of the night flooded in. "Lisa, please." Giovanni's voice cracked, desperation pooling in his eyes. She hesitated, vulnerability creeping in. A final glance at Giovanni showed a man willing to fight for her. And in that fleeting moment, she saw the warmth they could share. "Take care of her," Lisa murmured, the decision cementing itself. "And don't let him hurt anyone else." Climbing out into the cold night air, Lisa took a deep breath, the weight of uncertainty crashing over her. It was easier to stand loud and brave, but right now the shadows felt heavier than ever, threatening and murky. "Good choice," the man sneered, stepping back to let her move. "But know this. You step into his world, it'll keep you chained, and there's no escaping." Was she really ready to enter a world plagued by shadows? One where danger tangled like roots underfoot, growing wild and untamed? She could feel chills creeping along her spine, mixing with fear and a strange flutter of defiance. As the door closed behind her, sealing her fate, she thought about the child. She had made her choice, but at what cost? Outside the car she stood, broken yet resolute. Fate was no longer a mere spectator. It was now her partner in this unwritten saga of survival. What would her first steps reveal? In the thrumming dark her heart raced, yearning for answers that loomed just outside reach. How far would she go to protect others or herself? The night was alive with distant sirens and the low hum of engines. Lisa stood alone in the cool air, every breath feeling heavy as the shadows encroached around her. She took a few hesitant steps away from the car, each footfall echoing her uncertainty. It was clear the man she had just exchanged words with was not just a criminal. He was part of a world that thrived on fear and manipulation. They'd taken the child hostage, but in that moment, Lisa felt held captive by her own choices as she walked. Her heart pounded a frantic rhythm, reminding her that she was in deep waters now. The streetlights flickered, illuminating her path in patches, though the darkness felt more inviting than the light. She glanced back at the car, willing Giovanni's figure to materialize, but all she could see was a solitary shadow growing smaller. The thought of leaving him behind gnawed at her insides. Another sound pierced her thoughts, a child's faint whimper in the distance. The cry tugged at her conscience, reigniting a fire of resolve. Lisa turned sharply, her instincts kicking in. The child was still out there, helpless and vulnerable. It was her drive now, one she would cling to like a safety net woven from threads of desperation and courage. But she was alone and powerless. Illumination glinted off a nearby storefront window, and for a moment, she glimpsed herself, a girl with dirt-streaked cheeks and wild eyes, reflecting a soldier of vulnerability, ready to face a ruthless battlefield. Where do I even start? The question echoed in her mind, but her body acted before too much doubt could settle in. She spotted a staircase leading down into the grunge of an alley, feeling the pull of curiosity. What if she could find help? She stepped lightly, avoiding glass shards underfoot, heart racing anew as shadows danced in the corners of her eyes. The alley was narrow, cloaked in an oppressive silence that nearly swallowed her whole. At its end, a warm glow beckoned, a flickering flame from a small fire pit, where a group of people huddled close for warmth. She hesitated, her instinct to approach battling her fear of what lay ahead. "Please, can you help me?" she called out, the words trembling in the air like the last leaf clinging to a tree in autumn. The figures turned toward her, curiosity sparking in their eyes. "What is going on, lady?" one man asked, his hands calloused, face rough. "There's a child," she exploded, urgency rolling off her tongue. "They've taken her. I need a way to find her." The group exchanged glances, and in that moment of hesitation, doubt flooded her mind. Had she made a mistake? Did she have any idea who she was dealing with? But the man took a step closer, eyes narrowing cautiously. "What do you have to offer? In our world, favors come at a price. You need to be prepared." Prepared? For what? Lisa could feel her chest tighten. She had no offerings, no coins to exchange. Just a determination that felt fragile amidst hardened realities. Yet this was it. She was on the brink of something unpredictable. "I can help you," she said, mind racing for answers. "If you help me get the child back." He smirked, intrigued, but she could see the spark of doubt lingering in his eyes. "Big words, little lady. How do we know you're not bluffing?" Her pulse quickened as she glanced back at the shadows lingering in the alley. She could not let fear dictate her actions. Who was she if not a voice for the voiceless? "You have my word. I'm not going to let her suffer. I'll do whatever it takes." As fate would have it, those words hung in the air, clinging like smoke. They were a promise heavy with consequence. Would she truly be able to go through with it? "In that case," the man said, crossing his arms, "let us see just how far you're willing to go." It was a challenge, one that could lead her deeper into darkness. Lisa took a breath, caught between hope and fear. She was stepping on uncertain ground with no map to guide her. What awaited her next was unknown, but the fire to save the child flickered strong, sparking a path she needed to follow, or risk being consumed entirely by the shadows she had chosen to confront. Would she unravel the threads of this web, Or would she find herself ensnared within it? The man's eyes studied her, gauging her resolve, and Lisa felt as if a knife was twisting in her gut. She could sense the challenge behind his nonchalant demeanor. The group of rough-looking individuals silently waited, and she would have to convince them she was serious. Whatever it took. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. The man let out a low chuckle. "You're a brave one, I'll give you that. But bravery without brains is useless. We need information. You said you were with a guy named Giovanni." The name caught in her throat. She could feel Giovanni's presence like a ghost, urging her on. "Yes, he might know where she's kept. Get him here. And make sure he's willing to talk." The man leaned closer, his breath chilling her. "Or else you just might become the next deal we make." A tremor of fear rippled through her, but she squared her shoulders. She couldn't let them intimidate her. "I'll do it, I promise. I'll bring him." As she turned to leave, the man added, "And don't even think about running. You'll just make things worse for yourself and that kid." His words felt like chains clamping around her heart. She ran back through the dark alley, desperation fueling her pace. Each hurried step felt as if the ground were churning beneath her feet. The city lights seemed to morph, blurred by the tears that threatened to spill. What if Giovanni was already gone? What if she failed the child? With every thought, her anxiety coiled tighter around her chest. Lending weight to her legs, she reached the car, her pulse pounding in her ears. Giovanni was still inside, his gaze lost in the distance. The worry on his face was a mirror of her thoughts. He looked up as she approached, his expression shifting from bewilderment to concern. "Lisa, what happened?" "They need your help," she breathed, urgency lacing her words. "The men in the alley. They know something. We have to get back there fast." Giovanni sat up, the shadows casting sharp lines across his features. "What kind of help? You're not thinking clearly, are you?" The tension between them was palpable, but she couldn't let doubt creep in. "I am thinking clearly. They've taken a child, Giovanni. We can't let this go. We have the chance to do something to save her." His eyes widened slightly, and for a moment vulnerability softened his features. "What do you want me to do?" "I need you to talk to them. Tell them what you know." The weight of her plea hung heavy, and she felt her heart gallop. "You know things about their operations, I trust you." Giovanni sighed, looking torn. "I can't put you at risk. You don't know what they're capable of." "I do know," she snapped. "I've seen enough to be terrified. But I can't go back home knowing we did nothing." With a breath that trembled, he ran a hand through his hair, glancing at the alley that loomed nearby. "All right. But we do this smart. If we're caught, we won't be caught," Lisa insisted, desperation merging with determination. "We can save her. We can do this together." In that moment it felt like a fragile pact formed between them. As they made their way back to the alley, her stomach churned with anticipation and fear. The stakes had never felt higher. Each step deeper into the darkness brought a shroud of uncertainty, and with it a sense of what lay ahead. A test of her resolve awaited, one that would demand sacrifice and choice. And not only for them but for the innocent life that spun like a thread in the shadows. When they reached the flickering fire, the group was waiting, eyes locked on the duo approaching from the darkness. "Here we are," the man from before called out, his voice dripping with expectation. "Ready to bargain, I see? Let us find out just what you're both willing to risk." Lisa's heart raced. The moment of truth was upon them. Would they prove their worth? Or would they see everything unravel around them? At that moment she realized something chilling. Sometimes, to save others, you had to be willing to face the very thing you feared the most. What would that mean for her and for Giovanni? As shadows crept closer, would their bravery be enough to forge a way out of the darkness? The flicker of the fire danced in the eyes of the men, turning them into shadows with sharp edges. Lisa stood firm next to Giovanni, her heart hammering in her chest, each thud a reminder of the stakes. The air was thick with tension, and she could feel Giovanni's body tense beside her as they stepped forward into the light. "Listen up," the man said, his smile as cold as the steel in his eyes. "You two wanted answers, let us see how serious you really are." Giovanni took a deep breath, and Lisa could sense the internal battle. She squeezed his arm, grounding him. He turned his head slightly, meeting her gaze, and for a sliver of a second, The fear that had clouded his eyes was replaced with something steadier, perhaps even defiant. "Just tell us what you want to know," Giovanni said, his voice low but steady. "I'm not here to play games." The man regarded him with a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Games? Oh, we're way past games. You know about the shipments, the routes, everything that keeps our business running. That information is invaluable." Lisa felt the air grow heavier, the gravity of the moment settling in her chest. Giovanni was wrestling with the implications of sharing what he knew. Whatever they had been involved in before, it now felt like an ancient past. All Lisa could think about was the child, alone and scared, while they stood on this precarious edge. "I can't just give that up," Giovanni replied finally, his voice shaking slightly but resolute. "What would be the point? You just use it against us, against me." "Focus, Giovanni." Lisa pushed, her voice sharp but filled with urgency. "We don't have time for this. You have to think about the girl, the innocent life caught in all this mess." The man cocked his head, his interest piqued. "What girl? You're not talking about the one we have, are you?" Lisa's stomach dropped, but she had to stay strong. "Yes. Let her go. We'll give you what you want, information, whatever it takes to set her free." The men exchanged looks, the glint of excitement suddenly shifting the mood in the air. "Now we're talking," the man said, taking a step closer. "What do you have to offer? I can lead you to a shipment that's coming in soon. I know the routes and timing. Just give us the girl first. She doesn't deserve to be part of this." "Interesting proposition," the man mused, tapping his fingers together. "But how do I know you're not trying to pull a fast one?" Lisa's heart raced even faster now. "Guys, it's not just my life on the line. You can trust me, I'm not your enemy. All I want is to save that child." In that moment, she saw the glimmer of hesitation in the man's eyes. He was weighing his options, caught between greed and the thrill of domination. Giovanni leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Trust her. She's risking everything and you know it." The man sighed, casting a glance toward his group, who shifted nervously. "All right, let us say you convince me. You'll lead us to that shipment. But you better be right or I will," Lisa interrupted, her voice firm. "You have my word." A sudden wind blew through the alley, sending a chill down her spine. The stakes were rising with every passing second, and Lisa felt the weight of her promise hanging over her. "Meet us here tomorrow night," the man said finally, a sneer creeping across his face. "And if everything goes smoothly, maybe we'll let the girl go." Relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. Tomorrow night. The thought sent waves of dread coursing through her again. They had to be prepared. Would they find the strength to follow through, to make this work? As they stepped back away from the fire, Giovanni placed a hand on her shoulder. "We're in deep now, Lisa. We have to be careful." "I know," she whispered, looking back at him, the flickering light illuminating his worried face. "But we're doing this for her. We can't lose hope now." But doubts crept in, gnawing at her edges. What if they weren't ready for what lay ahead? She pushed the thoughts away as they walked back to the car, determination clawing at her heart as the night deepened. Around them, a new fear hung in the air. Would they really be able to save her? And what dark truths awaited them as they forged this dangerous path? The clock was ticking. Tomorrow would either bring salvation or plunge them deeper into darkness. The night felt suffocating as Lisa and Giovanni drove through the empty streets, the weight of their decision hanging heavy in the air. Each streetlight flickered past, casting stark shadows inside the car. Lisa gripped the steering wheel tighter, a mix of adrenaline and fear flooding her system. Giovanni sat in the passenger seat, his expression etched with worry. "What if they don't hold up their end of the deal, Lisa?" His voice was low, tinged with an unmistakable tension. "They'll have to," she replied, her voice more confident than she felt. "We have something they want. They can't risk turning us away, not when it means losing her." "But if they don't believe us," he trailed off, the thought hanging in the silence like a dark cloud. Lisa turned to him, squeezing his forearm. "They will believe us. They need that information. And it's not just their greed, it's their pride. They won't let anything stand in their way." As they finally reached the dimly lit motel they had chosen as a makeshift safe haven, she began to feel a sense of urgency twinging at her. They had a sleepless night ahead. The weight of the next day loomed large, pressing down on them, thick with impending choices inside the motel room. They spread out the maps and documents they had gathered over the last few days. Lisa's hands trembled as she traced the routes she had memorized, drawing lines that would lead them to the shipment. Each line seemed to stretch toward an uncertain future, promising danger and hope in equal measure. "Are you sure you can remember all of this?" Giovanni asked, glancing between Lisa and the scattered papers. His brows were furrowed with concern. "I'll remember," she insisted, though her own mind felt like a jumbled mess of thoughts and fears. "I'm not going to let her down. Not after everything." Her voice caught, the thought of the unseen girl, alone and vulnerable, tightening her chest like a vice. Giovanni stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "We'll protect her. We have to keep each other in check. Stay focused on the goal." She nodded, pulling in a steadying breath. Right. As the hours passed, tension crackled in the air between them. They worked quietly, whispers bouncing off the dingy walls, threading in and out of plans and worries. But deep down, there was an unsettling sense of doubt that neither of them could shake. What if they weren't enough? Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the stillness, breaking the fragile barrier of focus. Giovanni froze, peering through the worn motel curtains. Someone's outside. Fear shot through Lisa like an electric jolt. "What do we do?" He turned back to her, urgency painting his face. "We have to stay quiet. Could be them or someone else." Just as she held her breath, the door burst open. Their hearts thundered like a drum, threatening to drown out everything else. A figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the faint light from the corridor. Giovanni. The figure paused, uncertainty evident. Lisa's heart raced as a familiar voice broke through the haze of anxiety. "Claudia!" she exclaimed, relief flooding her senses as she rushed to embrace her friend. Claudia's expression was serious, eyes wide with urgency. "Is it true? Did you strike a deal with them?" Claudia whispered, glancing nervously behind her as if shadows lined the hall. "Tomorrow night," Lisa answered, her heart pounding again. "We'll lead them to the shipment. But we're scared." Claudia stepped closer, gripping both of their hands tightly. "You're brave, both of you. But there's something you need to know, something important about the shipment that I heard." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" "I overheard them talking. Tomorrow isn't just about a shipment, it's about something bigger. Something you don't want to get caught up in." Giovanni's eyes narrowed. "What sort of something?" But before Claudia could answer, the rattle of distant voices echoed down the hall, drawing their attention. Fear clutched Lisa's heart once more. This was just the beginning. What would tomorrow really bring? The door hung open. A question lingered between them: was the salvation they sought worth the deeper darkness they had yet to face? The sun barely broke through the clouds, casting a thin gray light over the city as Lisa, Giovanni, and Claudia huddled in the motel room, piecing together the last remnants of their plan. The air felt electric, charged with fear and hope as they prepared for the confrontation that awaited them. Lisa's heart raced, thoughts swirling in her mind. "Today is it," she said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. "We do this for the girl." Giovanni nodded, steeling himself. There was a fierce protectiveness in his eyes, a promise that he would stand by her side no matter what the outcome. "We'll make it work, Lisa. Together." Claudia's grip tightened around Giovanni's forearm. "But you need to stay alert. If those men suspect anything, they won't hesitate to turn on you." Lisa took a breath, feeling the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. She had come too far to back down now. "We won't let that happen. We'll stick to the plan. Remember, we have something." They want information. They discussed the route again, Lisa sketching it out on torn pieces of paper, the ink smudged with sweat. Each detail felt like a thread connecting them to the outcome they desperately hoped for. Hope was both their armor and their weapon. As night draped its cloak over the city, they prepared to leave. The streets echoed with an unsettling calm, darkness pooling in the corners as they approached the rendezvous point. The alley where they last encountered the men stood before them, a looming mouth waiting to swallow their hopes or spit them out bruised and battered. "Remember, we lead them to the shipment location, then we negotiate," Giovanni reminded, his voice low but firm as they reached the point where shadows danced along the walls. Lisa and Claudia exchanged glances, steeling themselves for what lay ahead. The time had come to confront the darkness they had chosen to face. As they stepped into the alley, the flickering fire from earlier hissed quietly, illuminating the faces of the men waiting, their expressions lined with a mix of expectation and disdain. The tension thickened, wrapping around all of them like a noose. "You made it," the man from earlier remarked, a sly smile inching across his face. "I was beginning to think you'd back out." Lisa's pulse quickened, but she held her ground. "Let the girl go," she demanded, her voice sharper than she intended but resolute. The man's smile faded slightly, replaced by a cold glare, but Lisa pressed forward. "We've got what you want. Just don't hurt her." He raised an eyebrow, entertainment dancing in his eyes. "You think you can protect her?" The laughter that rolled from him was dark, heavy, mocking their bravery. "You're nothing but a liability." Giovanni's muscles coiled like a spring next to her, ready to defend, ready to fight. "You've made a mistake if you think Lisa's just a pawn in this game. Is that right?" The man replied, feigning interest, kicking the air between them. "So what's your plan, hero?" In that heavy silence a thought flickered in Lisa's mind. This was more than just about saving a child. It was about reclaiming their lives from the grip of shadows. "I've arranged for a transfer. A shipment at dawn. Just let her go first, and I promise you'll get what you want." The man looked around, pondering her words, but she could see that doubt clouded his judgment. "Doesn't he work that way? You want her back. You'll need to prove your worth first." Giovanni surged forward, his voice falling into a tense growl. "You're making a dangerous mistake. We're not afraid of you." The man tilted his head, weighing their resolve but struggling to conceal the flicker of uncertainty. Lisa took a step forward, her heart thundering against her chest. "They don't see the courage in this choice we're making. But we stand united. We fight for what we believe in and for the innocent." Suddenly a sharp sound pierced through the air. The door from the back creaked open, and a small figure emerged, clutching a stuffed animal trembling but alive. The breath caught in Lisa's throat. It was the girl, vulnerable yet full of life, light amid darkness. "Don't!" the man barked, pointing a weapon towards the child. Fear shimmered like glass around them. "You think you can just waltz in with a mess of hopes?" In that moment the gap between them felt insurmountable. Yet Lisa found herself propelled by a wave of determination. "Let her go. She has nothing to do with your greed. I've made my choice. This is mine to bear." The man's resolve crumbled slightly, uncertainty weaving through the edges of his bravado. As silence descended, she felt Giovanni's presence beside her, a shield against the storm. The girl's tear-streaked face looked up at Lisa, eyes wide with pleading, and in that gaze strength surged through Lisa. "I will do anything for her to feel safe. Just let her go. Let all of us go." The man held her gaze, reconsidering, the weapon wavering ever so slightly. "What if I ask for more?" "Then we'll fight," Lisa declared, stepping into the heart of the darkness, where shadows converged and hearts beat to the rhythm of unrelenting courage. "But you will not break our spirit." "Not now." The man's breath hitched, an ember of recognition igniting in his eyes. Maybe he didn't see a pawn anymore. Maybe he saw a warrior, ready to rise against the shadows. "Very well," he sneered, but Lisa could see the hesitation. "Back to the deal then." Moments passed like hours. Giovanni stepped ahead, a barrier against chaos. "We walk away with everything or you lose the girl." The man laughed, but it sounded forced, unstable, a mask slipping away. "All right, you've got guts, lady. But remember, in this world one wrong move could cost you everything." As the term was accepted, forward motion unfurled within them. In this moment Lisa realized something profound. True bravery wasn't the absence of fear, but the courage to act despite it. "Let her go," she echoed again, stronger this time, daring to face the uncertainty that lay ahead. And in the depths of the darkness, light flickered, small yet potent, like the promise of dawn breaking through the horizon after a long, treacherous night. As the tense atmosphere shifted, slowly the hand waved toward the girl, urging her forward. For Lisa, hope surged anew. Family meant facing the unknown together, and no shadow could dim the light of their resolve. A new dawn beckoned on the horizon, and together, they would rise against it. You need to subscribe now to witness how this incredible journey continues. This is the moment to show your support. Your clicks fuel the power of these stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these heart-pounding tales alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this gripping, ending your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.